Here we go. And yes, I see you live. Awesome. I am so freaking excited that I nailed you down because you travel all over the world and it's really hard to get in touch with you. But I'm so excited to see my friend Taylor Conroy. It's such an honor to have you on here. For those of you who have not met Taylor yet, he's a friend, but he is an incredible human being who
Wait, not just a friend. How long have we been friends for? 10 years?
Yeah, 10
Maybe
years.
13?
Yeah, yeah, probably about that.
Okay, cool. Keep going. Sorry.
No, please interrupt when you want. So yeah, we've been friends for a really long time. I think that we met floating down a river.
Oh, the raft. That was fun.
That was really fun. And Taylor has gone on to, when we started working with Taylor, it was actually at a previous company called Change Heroes, where you would donate $3.33 a day for 3 months with 33 of your friends, and you would raise enough money to build a school in Kenya or in a couple of other areas, right? So I loved that concept. I love that concept of social giving, and it's getting so much more popular. I really believe that you were ahead of your time in that. So I'm really proud of you for that, and I can't wait to hear a little bit more about your story. You've now gone on to you're a co-founder of Journey, which is Travel with Purpose. And Taylor has done 3 TED Talks, not just 1, 3. He has spoken at Harvard, Princeton, NYU, Cornell, at United Nations. He's spoken for companies like Disney and Morgan Stanley and Lululemon. Like, how do I even have the privilege of knowing you? You're amazing, like amazing human being. So I would just love.
My love language is words of affirmation. So I'm feeling my bucket's really full.
Well, I'm really happy that your heart is full, because my heart is full, that we've kept in touch this whole time. And I'm so grateful for you because you helped me get my TED Talk. So I would love to just hear a little bit about you and give a background of who you are, and talk about, how you've come full circle from doing a TED Talk and now to the Idea Collective, and tell them a little bit about that.
Okay, I would love to. And here's the thing is, like, most people that got involved with Change Heroes and raised money, like, you raised money quite quickly to build a school. You raised 10 grand like in no time. And that's just because you just get shit done, right? And most people that raised $10,000 to build a school, we ended up building 500 schools, libraries, water projects, girls scholarships, anti-sex trafficking work in Cambodia, homelessness initiatives, did all sorts of these things. Most people that did those campaigns, I would say 90% plus of them, the reason that they started raising money is because they saw a talk, right? And not just any talk, but they saw this TEDx talk. And this TEDx talk was not some polished, beautiful, articulate script. Like, it was me bumbling through, sweaty, terrified, nervous, sweaty pits. Sounded like I'd just been chewing on 2 bags of cotton, because it was my first ever public speech in my life. And the way I view you, Christina, is someone who's like, you're kind of like naturally flamboyant. You're naturally charismatic. Like, you're there, like, people are magnetized to you. Myself, getting on stage for me was like my worst nightmare. And luckily it went okay. But so people watched that talk, and because of the power of it being a TEDx talk and not just some rando talk, because of the power of being a TEDx talk, a bunch of people watched it. And people watched it. They signed up to want to raise money to build schools all over the world.
How many views did you have on that? I'm curious.
What's that?
How many views did you have on that talk? I'm curious.
I mean, when everyone signed up, maybe 40,000 views.
Wow.
Like, nothing crazy, right? Like, nowadays, things are getting hundreds of thousands of views if they have a cat in them. But back then, 40,000 views, 2,000 people watched. 2,000 people that watched it signed up saying, "I want to raise money." I want to raise money. So that's where my mind just started getting blown with, like, is that like the power of one talk? Just blew my mind. This thing started a movement. This thing built enough projects that are now impacting 250,000 humans in 14 countries. We had 1.4 million $3.33 a day contributions. Right?
I have goosebumps everywhere listening to this.
It's bananas. It's freaking crazy. And like, we talked about it before getting on, is like, when you get a talk out there and people can actually start seeing it, they start to feel you. They start to feel like, I know this person. Like, one of the best compliments that you'll get from your TEDx, Christina, is people will start saying, "You and I are just the same. You're just like me," or "I'm just like you." And that means you did a wonderful talk because they connected with you. right? And I'll stop rambling now and say that, like, so now our passion is helping people get that one big talk. We've helped 200 people land TEDx talks all over the world. We're talking like Ireland, all over the UK, Switzerland, the Netherlands just landed one, Australia, New Zealand, all over the States, Canada. And there's a system for landing it, not only landing a TEDx talk, but there's a system for spreading it so that 1 million plus people see it. And I think that's what you want to talk about today. And so obviously that's just what I'm ecstatic about, and how we met in the first place.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing is, like, when I met you, you had just retired from being a firefighter and you had hit a real estate boom. You're a realtor and you made all of this money in real estate. And then what I admired the most is that you're like, F it, I'm taking off. And you like went and traveled around the world. Like you were just like, yep. And you just went for a year, right?
Yeah. Don't you think this is what I think is like the juice of life? Stuff can change like that. Like, real estate was awesome, bananas. You guys, I don't know if anyone was watching this remembers 2005, 2006. Shit was like a rocket ship. Everything was exploding. Everyone was a genius real estate investor who bought anything. And so it went great, made good money. And we had these transition times in our life, right? And you obviously had a profound one. Like, even what is the hashtag beauty to boss?
Yeah.
Right? From being in the beauty industry.
Like, yeah, exactly.
Awesome that you are now. And I love those transitions. And that's what I feel like, that's what actually got me out of real estate. It wasn't the walkabout. I went around the world. I went to 15 countries, took a year off to like find myself. If anyone's into astrology, it was my Saturn return. And I was 28, and I was just like, what do I want to do with my life? I don't know. And I went on this walkabout, and I came back and I was like, I want to do something bigger.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that you have in common with 99.9% of our clients that hop on the phone with us. Are like, look, I love what I'm doing. I'm good at it. And there's something bigger. I want to be making, and it's like all the words that you have in your Instagram profile, right? It's money, it's making an impact. It's like getting out there and doing something. Like, how many fucking lives do you have to live? You know what I mean? Like, I'm pretty sure in this body, I've got one. And so I want to do as much as humanly possible with it, which is why then I did the TEDx talk, and that's when everything started signing up. I was still in real estate. Everyone's like, I want to raise money. I was like, ah, and then that's when I quit real estate to jump into this stuff full time.
Wow. And that's just it. There's this turning point or this opportunity that presents itself, or a pivotal moment in your life that all of a sudden an idea is born. And that's why I think TED is such a great platform, because one idea can shift your entire life. Like, it can actually shift and change, and it doesn't have to be one idea. It can shift from here to here to here, and all of a sudden you understand that what you think and how you feel matters, and you can help so many people just by being brave and telling your story, right?
Yeah. And as you said that, I've never thought of this before, but you're like, yes, one idea can shift your life, can shift the lives of other people, can build schools, can do all the things, can empower women. And the vast majority of people have that idea, and it stays in here, or it stays in here literally for their whole lives, because they have this like analysis paralysis of like, well, I'm just not 100% sure on my idea. Therefore, I'm not going to share it with anyone. I'm just not, I've got 3 different ideas. I'm not quite sure. 10 years passes, 20 years passes. They never get it out. Could you imagine? Like, I guess that's, to me, is like one of the biggest fears. How they say fear is a bigger motivator than pleasure.
Yeah.
Totally.
Pain, right? Pain versus pleasure.
Yeah, exactly. One of the big pain or potential pains or ongoing pains or fears that motivates me is dying with my music still inside me.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think that's what I think a lot of us feel like that. Yet we're in this culture, we're so indoctrinated to just, play to the status quo, make ends meet, make sure we make rent every month kind of thing, and never actually like step out and break out and do that. I think that idea that's in us, I point to my chest, because when I feel something really strong that's in my chest, other people it's in their head or wherever. When I feel like if there's something like brewing up there, it's coming for a fucking reason. It's not to make you stressed or anxious. You're only feeling stressed or anxious because you're holding it in and not letting it out.
Yes.
So that's what I see. Like, I see that every day. I saw that today. I see it every single day. I hop on a call with someone. Same things happen. Well, I'm not 100% sure on my idea. Do you really think this is good enough? Do you really think this would get views? Do you really think TEDx would take this? And all of those are like manifestations or symptoms from a deeper core feeling of like, I'm not enough.
right?
what?
Self-limiting beliefs, like those things
Exactly.
that we say that we're not enough.
Exactly. I'm not, it's like this core thing of I'm not enough. So I think that's why, I don't know, Christine, I'm having like a mind explosion right now. I'm like, I bet you that's why I'm in a job where my job is to show people that they're enough. My job is to like see
Yes,
them in a higher
yes,
version of themselves. Why? Probably because that's the wound I'm trying to heal in me. Like,
yes,
just even
yes.
mind.
I know, because I do the same thing for the same reason, right? Impact and personal freedom. And I remember, I had some issues with my business, and I remember a friend of mine calling me, and, instead of she was my best friend, and instead of saying, Christina, it's going to be okay, she's like, when are you going to stop, like, trying this and doing the same thing over and over again? She's like, how many times does the universe have to slam a door in your face to tell you to start playing bigger? She's like, you've always wanted to go do a TED talk. Go do a TED talk. Go write a book. Go do the things you want to do. And I was just like, okay. And I immediately hung up the phone with her in tears and called you.
Yeah,
And I was just like, you've
I'm
got to
so
help me
honored
do
to
this.
get
I'm
that
going to do
call.
it before I like talk myself out of it, because I think, and I'm so happy we're having this conversation, because so many people, I've got this idea, I want to tell people, I want to put it out there, but they're scared, number one, of judgment, right? They're scared of what are people going to think? Number two, am I enough to be the person that delivers this message? Are people going to listen? And I went through that guys, I'm a small town girl. I'm a university dropout. I know that, I think you said the same thing, and that you spoke at Harvard and you dropped out of university or something, or I can't
No,
remember.
I never even went. I didn't even start university. I barely graduated high school. I was like, I got out of high school and I was like, there's no way I am signing up for another 1 month of this, let alone 4 years.
Totally. Yeah, I totally agree with you. It was just not for me either.
Yeah, and you should have felt not should have felt. I don't wish it on anyone. The feelings of not enoughness, of like, what's it called? Whatever, just totally self-conscious when I was at Harvard and I'm speaking at the largest conference that they put on all year. And by the way, the reason I spoke there is because I did the TEDx talk. Got the TEDx talk. I sent it to someone at Harvard that I knew helped organize a conference. I was like, what do you think of this TEDx talk? And she's like, I love it. Can you come and keynote our biggest annual conference next year? And I was like, like terrified for 6 months leading up to the conference. And I remember being on stage, like kind of shaking and looking at all these people that had drastically more education than me. I was 100% the least educated person in the room, but I got to be on stage because I got on a different stage and told this idea that was bubbling up naturally inside of me, that I had no experience with raising money, right? But I was like, you know what I mean? Like when there's an idea that you genuinely feel it could shift humanity, you gotta let that shit out.
You have to. You have to. And that was the thing. I was so passionate about my idea that I wanted to share it with people, because I knew that I wasn't alone. I knew that I wasn't feeling this way by myself. And I thought, if I can get on a bigger platform and share that. And by the way, you hear from both of us, scared shitless, like absolutely terrified of what's going to happen. But when you're scared, that's the very thing that you have to step up to the plate and do. If you want growth, if you want to do something big in your life and make a massive impact, because those are the people that we're talking to here, right? Those people that just really want to help others, then you got to do the thing that scares the crap out of you. Like that's what you have to do.
Why is it like that?
I don't know. It's so brutal. But the more we do it, I feel like it gets like, I don't know, was your third TED talk any easier? Please tell me it was.
I would love to say it was. I was a hot mess. And we're going to be honest with you. When you're doing something that you're meant to do, it matters to you, right? And I think the biggest mistake, and maybe some kind of like teaching points on TEDx stuff, the biggest mistake that I see people make with their TEDx talk is they don't take it seriously enough. And they kind of get up there and they do a talk that they've done before somewhere else, or they get up there and do something that's within their comfort zone. And what I believe is, like, you, and I'm sure your entrepreneurial followers have heard of the 80-20 rule, right? The 80-20 rule of typically, 80% of your results come from 20% of your actions, or 80% of your money comes from 20% of your clients. Yeah. And the way that I look at it is that is kind of repeated throughout all different industries. And the way that pertains or relates to a TED Talk is, it's not 80-20. In my mind, that a TED Talk is a 99-1. It's the 1% of your activities. It's the 1% of the things that you'll do that will lead to 99% of your results. Excuse me.
No pressure, Christina. It's going to be totally fine.
Oh yeah, but you got this. And the reason I say that is because, like, we have clients that I remember a client from Victoria, actually, a guy named Kevin Briel. He comes to me and he's like, hey, Taylor, I want to raise money to help destigmatize mental health. And I said, great. What we're going to do is we're going to land you a TED Talk. I'm going to name it for you, and I'm going to show you how to spread it to a whole bunch of people. And he's like, okay. So we landed the TED Talk. I named it Confessions of a Depressed Comic. It's Confessions of a Depressed Comic. You guys should check it out. It's amazing.
It's really good.
It now has 4.5 million views. It literally paved the way for his adult life. He's spoken over 200 times all over the world, paid to speak. So the kid's he's mid-20s now, but he's made over $1 million in speaking fees. He's spoken at Yale, Penn State. I think he spoke at Princeton as well, all over the place. And he's helped raise millions of dollars for charity. He's been on the Today Show, all the things. Wow. Why? Because he put the effort into that one talk. Yeah. People put effort into, they put money in Facebook ads, and they try to do a whole bunch of webinars, and they try to do all these different things, thinking that that's going to move them forward. But in reality, the reason they're doing those things is because they're still within the person's comfort zone. When in reality, something that is sitting just outside the person's comfort zone could pull them way further than any of those little things, any hundreds of those little things could do. That one thing, that one big 1%, in my mind, it's a TED Talk. Yeah. That can get you way further, way faster than, in my mind, any other kind of media outlet you have access to, which is why you're doing it. Props to you. And to round it all out and let you know if it ever gets easier, it doesn't. If anything, it gets harder, because you know how awesome it could be and you want to make it really, really good. Yeah. No help there. Sorry.
Oh, perfect. So tell me a little bit about the Idea Collective and what you do there.
Yeah, it's, in a nutshell, we're a thought leadership agency. Okay, our job is to turn you into the thought leader in your field. For a real world example, woman Cynthia calls me up. She was a nurse. She turned into decided to be a coach. This is a health practitioner and a health coach. And her business was going great. She had an assistant. She was doing all the things, and she wanted to get very similar. She's like, I have this message I want to get out there. I really want to get it out. I'm like, cool. Well, you need to do a TED Talk. You do a great one. All the things came up for her, come up for almost all of our clients. Well, do you think anyone would watch it? Do you really think I get picked? I'm like, Cynthia, we have a 100% success rate. You're going to get picked. That's the least of your worries. Yeah. And I don't know. I got another call with her. Luckily, we got to the point where she's like, okay, screw it. I'm doing this thing. Let's do it. She does her TED Talk. You guys can check it out. It's called Intermittent Fasting, Transformational Technique. Does a phenomenal talk. Last time I checked it, 5.1, 5.2 million views, and literally exploded her career. Her social media took off so fast that she started getting brands saying, can we give you $1,000 or whatever it is? Just post our brand on your social media.
Just like that.
She signed a 6-figure speaking tour around the world. She's got New York book publishers coming after her because they want her to write a book that they can publish. I'm going to type it in right now. And this is from doing one fantastic, amazing TED Talk. It's got 5.2 million views as of today.
Wow.
So that's what we do in a nutshell. Is we pull out, we find the people everyone has 2 or 3 or 10 different ideas. They don't know where to start, right? So our job is to pluck out the best idea that has the most potential of landing a talk fast and going viral. And what we do is help them get that idea very, very clear, so they know how they're going to write their talk. We come up with all the answers to TEDx application questions for them. We equip them with all the different TEDx events that are looking for speakers, and we basically help them land a TED Talk. That's what we've done for 200 people. And then we give them a step-by-step plan to make sure that the talk reaches millions of people after they're done.
And it works. It absolutely, I remember you saying it'll take about 3 months to get a talk. And I was like, I don't know about this. I just trusted you. I'm like, if he could do it, he'll teach me how to do it.
How long did it take you?
It took me, I applied to 33. And so it took me it honestly took me about 6 weeks to be accepted for 2. So
that makes sense for you. That's on brand, doing everything, doubling it in half.
So I'm just happy. I'm just so happy that we connected now. What are some common challenges that people face? Obviously that nervousness, your mind goes blank, that kind of stuff. But what are some common challenges that people face when it comes to that day and they're like, oh my God, how am I going to react to this? How do you get over that nervousness? You don't, you just live with it.
you kind of accept it. You kind of accept that you're going to be nervous, and then that's okay. And then my tips, we got like 3 tips for when you get on stage. Number 1 is you walk to the center. You don't start your talk like as you're walking. You'll walk to the center, you stop, you take a deep breath, and that starts tapping into your parasympathetic nervous system. It tells your body that you're not going to die, right? So you take a big deep breath, you smile, and you wiggle your toes.
Perfect.
So deep breath, smile, wiggle your toes. The reason you wiggle your toes is to like bring you back into your body.
Yeah.
The reason you smile and that breath is to like be in your parasympathetic nervous system, so you kind of chill out and you're there. And then once you're there, you start talking. The cool things, like some pro tips with TED Talks, is that you don't have to worry about coming out there. Like I've done TED Talks where I come out there, I'm like, hey everyone, it's like really nice to be here. It's the best looking audience I've seen all day, or something, like some weird joke that gets people laughing. And then I'll stop, look at the audience, and then start talking, because your talk is not for the people that are in the room. That's not like the main intention. The talk is for people online, right? So what they're going to do is they're going to cut out anything at the beginning, and they're going to start right when your talk starts. They're going to layer in applause at the beginning, at the end. A lot of TEDx events do that. So their job is to make you look good. You know, I've been in the middle of my 3rd TEDx talk. I was on stage. It was a really emotional one for me. I totally forgot what I was supposed to say. I didn't memorize the script as much as I wanted to, and totally forgot what I was going to say. The only thing going through my head was, wow, I can't believe I don't know what to say right now. That's what was going through my head, right?
On loop.
And the nice thing is, because I've done a bunch of them, I knew that they would just cut that part out. And so I just stopped and breathed, waited. Then it popped into my mind what the next line was, and they just cut that part out. And I literally even said to the audience, I was like, oof, can we get some energy going here? And they clapped, and then it popped in what I was supposed to say. So what I tell people is like, look, you should never depend on notes ever. And if for some reason you don't have that thing crazy memorized, pop a note in your back pocket. So every once in a while, if you needed to, you could look at it. Again, you don't want to be doing this, but if you did look at it, they'll cut that part out, and they'll make you look good.
Were you somebody that memorized like word for word, or did you memorize kind of the stages of your talk and then wing it because you knew the material so well?
You know what? Everyone's different, and I believe it depends on the talk. Like if your talk has some really deep emotions in it, then I wouldn't be winging anything.
Yeah.
If it's got some deep emotions in it, you want to get to the point where you're so not thinking about what you're supposed to say that you can feel it. If you're thinking about what you're supposed to say, the energy's up here, and it's not like in your body. And like, you know, people that are watching this Facebook Live or the replay of this, they're probably watching us on their phone. Most people, anyways, right? The vast majority of people will be on their phone. So you can see how small I am on your phone right now. For me to convey emotion to you, I have to be feeling it really deeply, right? It's different than being like face to face with someone where you can see every little micro nuance in their facial expression if they're changing emotions. If you're watching someone on the phone, the person who's doing the talk has to be so emotionally invested and involved in that talk for it to be able to translate on a screen this size, right? For them to feel the emotion. The reason it's so important for the audience to feel the emotion like that through a screen is that when the talk ends, they've got an option right there for a few seconds. Do they share it, or do they just click out? And that's the difference between your talk actually reaching the millions of people that it's supposed to reach, is if you made that person feel something, then they'll share it. If you didn't make them feel anything, they're not going to share it.
Yeah.
So it's a long way of saying, did I memorize my talk? The reason that I memorize my talks is so that I know what feelings and emotions I'm going to have at each point in the talk, all the way to the point where, you know, if I had a slide on my computer right now that was, you know, a picture of these 2 young women that I met in Uganda, even just the thought of it makes me start to tear up.
Yeah.
Because I've trained myself that every time that slide comes on, I remember those emotions that I had when I was in Uganda. And I believe it's my job and duty to feel it fully when I'm on stage, so that people can feel it fully better in the audience, and therefore they can spread the talk.
I think that that's so important, because you can feel like, you know, what someone's intention is when they're being authentic, and you can hear the influxes in their voice. If they've memorized something, it's just a little bit more monotone, and it's not storytelling.
Yep.
right? And that's what you want to do, is you want to tell a story. Do you find that a lot of people, excuse me, a lot of people use slide decks to show pictures to create the emotion?
Yeah. It's totally dependent on the talk. I love pictures. I love them because they bring me back to that moment. Like I've got this slide of this man who's 95 and he was about to walk into his first brand new home. It was on a journey trip, right? And it was like, profound moment for me. It always just brings me right back, and it brings me back into my body because I'm a nervous talker. Like I'm a nervous speaker. Like you'll get on stage, you'll crush it. You're going to be great. People that get lots of nerves. I think anything that you can do to bring yourself back into your body and bake that into your talk, the better. Even if all the way to the extent of like I've got a story that I tell at the beginning of every talk. It doesn't really pertain to the talks that I'm doing that much, but it makes me laugh and it makes the audience laugh and it makes me feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Right. So I'd rather that when I'm training speakers or working with clients, I'd rather they feel really comfortable on stage than them trying to deliver the best content ever, but it has no emotionality to it.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. Now, could you give me a few tips on, because I think that this will translate not only for TED Talks, but for anybody that is working on social media or putting a video out on social media or whatever. Can you talk a little bit about how you recommend going viral and getting your content out?
Yeah. So, YouTube is the world's second largest search engine, right? So people are coming to TEDx talks and to videos like this to answer their questions. So if your talk can clearly answer a question or solve a problem that a lot of people are having, then a lot of people are going to be looking for it. So Cynthia, that example I used earlier about intermittent fasting right now is super hot, right? Like people are really into it. They're learning about it. They want to know more. In 5 years, if her talk came out like in 2025 or even 2023, chances of it getting 5 million views, I don't think it would, because enough people are going to be educated on intermittent fasting that it's not going to be as hot as it is right now. When Kevin did his talk, the one with the 4.5 million views, Confessions of a Depressed Comic, that was in 2013. That was in a world that depression was not getting talked about openly. So, but a lot of people wanted to know about it. So a lot of people were searching for it. And so
Yeah.
when this kid came out and talked about this thing that no one was talking about, it was huge. And so it spread like crazy. If you did a talk right now on depression, yes, sure, it's needed and stuff like that. Will it have the organic influx that Kevin had? Probably not.
Yeah.
Right. So my suggestion is like to be doing a talk on something that you're super, super passionate about, something that just lights you up and that you could talk about till the cows come home and lose track of time, and make it relevant. Like really think through like, what problem am I solving? Am I just getting up there to just tell my story? I don't think that's enough nowadays. I think you want to have something actionable. You want to have something that's really going to correlate with what a lot of people are looking for at this moment in time.
Oh my God, I'm so excited, but I'm so terrified. It's going to be amazing.
And yours, it's funny, like right now, your talk, and I'm guessing 80-90% of your followers are women, right?
Yeah.
Um, this is a massive time in history to be talking about the feminine, about women, women's empowerment. And we need, and it's coming from all different directions. We need women talking about it, from women that are really driven. We need women that are really soft. We need women out there talking as much as humanly possible. And there's this massive thirst and hunger for it right now. And so it's kind of like what we started talking about in the beginning of this call about, remember real estate in 2005, 2006, it was just like booming. The women's space is booming right now. It's booming right now. And I don't know how long that's going to stay for, because at some point it will be normal. At some point equality will hit. I'm not saying it's going to be tomorrow or that it's all going to be done through one TEDx talk, but this is the time to capitalize on being a woman, more so than at any time in my life, that's for sure, that I've seen. And I don't know how long it'll last. So my suggestion is, if you're a woman and you've got a message, now's the time to get it out there, because you're still going to be at the bleeding edge. You're still at the cutting edge. You're still stepping up. And what I find, one time Christine and I did a talk for about 80 women entrepreneurs. It was in Hawaii. And I said, look, anyone here, I will have, you don't have to talk to my team. I'll talk to you personally about your idea. I'll give you feedback on your TEDx talk and see what you think. And so then I had about 40 calls back to back with women. And before then, I had had hundreds of calls, but they'd always be interspersed: man, woman, 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 man, 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 whatever. So I didn't see this pattern until I had them all back to back with women. And what I found is with those 40 calls of women, every single one of them suffered from I'm not enough, like massively. Like, I don't know about this idea. I need to study it more. I need to get another degree. I'm not ready. All of the things, 10 times more than the male clients. Like, Christina, shit you not, I will get on the phone with a man and he'll be like, I really want to do a TED Talk. I'm like, cool, what's your idea? He's like, I don't know yet, but I'm ready to do a TED Talk. I'm like, what? How am I supposed to help you get a TED Talk if you don't have an idea? He's like, I'll figure it out, right? You get on the phone with a woman who's like a freaking PhD and she's been studying her field of expertise for 20 years and she's got thousands of case studies. It doesn't matter what she has. She's going to go, I think I'm going to I'm going to read a few more books. I think I'm going to try to write my own book first. I'm going to do all this. I just don't think I'm ready. It's blatant. And so if you're feeling that, if you're watching this and you're a woman, and you're like, yeah, those are the feelings that are coming up for me. Congratulations, you're human. And those aren't going to go away. No. Even another degree or another whatever, they don't go away. What makes them go away is continually stepping outside your comfort zone and proving that you can do the things that you didn't think you could do.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, and it's interesting because that's a lot of kind of what my talk is about. So I know that I'm on point with what the trends, and I know that I'm on point with the message. So I'm really excited to be able to have that space. Like, I'm actually really grateful. Thank you so much for helping me craft that idea and put it into words that will impact a bunch of women to step up and get out of their head and out of their self-limiting beliefs and out of all the self-sabotage they have in their head and just go do the thing, because you are exactly who you decide to be. You're not who you are right now. You're who you decide to be. So if you're in a space that you're not happy, or you're in a space that you feel like you're made for more, then decide to go after it. Do everything in your power to go after that. And the cool thing about it is, like, as a mom, I get to model that for my daughter.
Oh.
Like, I get to show her that life. No, I'm gonna cry. Don't do that. Don't do awe.
For your daughter. Think about her. Do it for her, Christina.
You're the worst.
Mom. Do it.
But that's the thing. And I think so often we don't think of ourselves that way because we're living in this body. Just like you're like, is anybody gonna listen to this idea? Is anybody gonna do this? Yeah, they are, because they're thinking the same thing as you. You're the one that gets to have a voice. Right? So one last thing that I want to ask is, do you have any tips for people that are going to apply for TED Talks?
Oh yeah, tons. I think this is, to be honest, I've been trying. Here's the thing. I could give you a bunch of tips on applying, and it would be like me throwing, a few little Band-Aids at you when you've got like a cut on your arm that's freaking bleeding. Right? Like, what you need is
hire you at Idea Collective is what I would do, which is what I do.
That would be smart, and that's what you don't have to. If you wanted to start applying, it got to be honest, it's just a freaking long road. You're going to be going on Google, searching out events for tens and tens and tens of hours, potentially hundreds of hours, finding these events, finding the ones that are open, trying to gather the links, trying to find out how you contact the organizer. I know what it is. We've been gathering these events for years. It's bananas, the process that you have to go through. We've gone through so many people to try to find these events. It's just not an easy thing. And so my suggestion is this. I don't want to just like have your people like just hop on like a sales call, like where we're like, hey, yeah, do you want us to help you or not? What I would love to connect you with Joey and Steve on our team. Their job is to help ideate. Their job is not sales. They're not allowed to sell. Their job is to ideate with people. What is their idea? How do you they will give you feedback? Is it enough? Is it good enough? Do you have the expertise you need? All that kind of stuff. That's what I would love to offer. Then if you want to go out and do it on your own, heck yes, go out and do it on your own. But talk to them so they can help you get really clear on what your idea is. Because the number one most important thing to a TEDx organizer, we've surveyed TEDx organizers from all over the world. The number one most important thing always is the idea. Yeah. If your idea is not clear, concise, unique, like right to the point, you're not getting picked, right? So I could throw a bunch of Band-Aids at you and say, here's how you find events and da-da-da-da. But if you're not applying in the right way, none of it matters. Absolutely. We've had clients come to us that have been applying for 2 years for events and they haven't gotten anything. They come to us and they land within a couple of weeks. So my suggestion, I don't know where we're going to put a link, but is to talk to Joey and Steve, get them to give you some feedback. And then if by the end of the call, you're like, okay, I would love you guys, I want to have a sales call, then they can hook you up with that. But the first call is just to give you as much feedback as possible.
Yeah. And meeting with the Idea Collective, like there was a few people that you put me in touch with. And number one, they made me feel worthy of my idea. They made me feel like I was enough. And they helped me craft that idea so that I could say it in 2 sentences. I literally, when I went through the interview process, I said my idea, I said it, and they're like, would you like to elaborate? Because I didn't want to go on for hours and hours and hours about it, because that means that you haven't gotten your idea, you don't have your idea ready yet, right? You've got to be very, very, very specific on that idea. And so that's what they really helped me do. They helped me with the interview process. They helped me with everything. So I'm just, again, I'm so grateful for what you guys do and how you help, like, basically make people's dreams come true. You're like Disney. You like help people make their dreams come true.
Yeah, I love that. To be honest, I like every day, it's pretty much every day we got a client whose talk comes out or they land their talk or whatever it is. It's just it's a personal development exercise, going through it. Like just landing a talk, that brings up all the feelings. Then doing the talk, that brings up all the things. Then the talk comes out. Oh my God, is people actually going to watch it? We just had a client, Eli, pass 1 million views the other day. And so we as a team, we always like celebrate when that happens. And that's on TED.com. His talk got picked up for TED.com. A lot of our clients do. And he got 1 million views to his talk. Like that's something that he'll have for the rest of his life. That's something that his children, his grandchildren, his great-grandchildren, they'll see that. There's grandpa, rocking his TED talk. Over 1 million people have seen it. I mean, it's a legacy piece at the same time,
Yeah, it is. And that's exactly it, because what are we here for? We're here to build a legacy. We're here to make an impact. We're here to help other people. It's funny because on my phone, you know how they say your phone screen shows things that are important to you? Like I've got a list of things and one of them is 1 million views on my TED Talk.
Nice.
Anyways, I am so grateful for you. Thank you so much for taking the time. I'm not going to take up much more of your time today. So thank you for being here. I appreciate you so much. I'm so grateful. And I'm just so excited to see what happens, because if anything even remotely happens close to, for me, what happened to you after your TED Talk, I will be more than thrilled.
Well, for everyone who's watching this, when Christina's talk drops, we got to be sharing it like crazy, because it's not only it's going to impact a lot of humans' lives. It's going to have a lot of people thinking differently. So I know I'll be the first one to share it. And I think everyone who's watching this one will too. We're all in support of you.
Thanks, Taylor. Okay, well, you have an awesome day and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Bye.